all the words that people say, there's a bunch of different words in the Bible that people get really confused on because they think that the new world, the new heaven and the new earth is not here yet. They think that the earth, the ball of the earth, is going to be wiped out and we're going to have a new heaven and a new earth. But the new heaven and the new earth happened in 70 AD. This was a new time. If you read 2 Peter chapter 2, verse 5, it says that God did not spare the old world, but saved Noah, the eighth person, right, and brought the rest of the flood upon the world. Well, that changed everything. Before Noah, you had people living for 1,000 years. Some people lived for 1,000 years. You had fallen angels walking around having sex with the daughters of men. It was a completely different world than what we have today, and a completely different world from Noah to Jesus than what we have now. Noah to Jesus, you got Abraham, the covenant of circumcision, the law, and that world's done now too. And just like in Peter, it also says that the elements will melt with a fervent heat, and there will be a new heaven and a new earth, and the works of the earth will be burnt up. It says the works of the earth will be burnt up. That old world is complete darkness. It's completely done. It's finished. Jesus said, "This generation shall not pass until all these things be fulfilled. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will not pass away." Heaven and earth passed, guys. After Noah, we start living 120 years. Before Noah, that seems really strange to us. That was a new earth. Now we have a new heaven and a new earth. The former things are past. Behold, all things are new. The old things are passed away. The new world, in the old world, what you're reading in the Bible is bringing in the new world. Heaven and earth did pass away. You're bringing in the new world. The elements being burned up with a fervent heat isn't elements like rocks and everything. It's like if you're watching a movie and you say, well, it was a good movie, but I didn't like some elements of the movie. Well, I didn't like some elements of that. That's what that word actually means, is rudiments. And the works of the world are burned up. Those things are done. There's no more law. There's no more, are you born of Adam? Jesus was the first man in this new world. We even changed the times. We even changed the time to 0 AD whenever Christ came, right? The whole time that you have is for this. It's a completely new world. The old order of things are past. So whenever you're reading that and you're reading stuff like the elect should be saved, or if those days were not shortened, not even the elect would be saved. Well, that was to them. Salvation was of the Jews. Gentiles, what were they saved from? They weren't saved from the law. They hadn't transgressed the law. All right. A transgression and a sin was through the law. Gentiles never had the law. It was completely different. The wrath of God came on the children of Israel, the Pharisees. 144,000 of Israel were saved, and these were the first fruits unto God. And they follow the Lamb whithersoever he goes. 12 thrones were given to 12 apostles to judge the 12 tribes of Israel. That's one apostle for each throne. 12 times 12 is 144. And on each side of the temple, whenever they became the first fruits unto God, you've got the name of an apostle as each foundation on 12 foundations. And you've got 12 sides, and each side being the cubit of a man. That's 12,000 on each side. That's the 144,000 Jews. Before they ever even preached to the Gentiles, they went to the Jews and sealed up 5,000 this day, 3,000 this day. So whenever you're reading all those things, know that that was the end of the world. Okay, that's the end. When will these things be? The sign of your coming, the end of the age, the end of the world. So many times it will tell you, like Paul said, that Christ was revealed unto them upon whom the ends of the world are come. They were in the end of the world. So read it like that, and it'll clear up a lot of things for you. Because people use all these words like, all people will see him. Yeah, in that world. All people saw him in that world. And yes, it's recorded that all people saw him. Josephus said, who was watching it, who was eyewitness to it, said that it would have been a thing of fairy tale if you weren't there to see it. He said there was armies running on the clouds, and a voice came up in the temple and said, "Get thee hence." They saw these things. Many miracles and things happen. People preaching in the city and being beat to death while they're screaming out, "Woe unto you, woe, woe unto Jerusalem." A voice from the east wind and the west and the four winds saying, "Woe unto you, Jerusalem." People just mad running around preaching that, being beat to death while they're still preaching that. They said that he was possessed by God or a higher power or something. Those things happen, and you can read through the history and see many, many things. There was never tribulation like there was in those days, and there never will be. That was also the end of that world. That's the end of that world. That was the worst tribulation that had ever happened. Jews were cooking their babies to eat them. They were eating their clothing. They were eating their shoes. They were eating each other. It was bad. Okay. So go look that stuff up. Just read some of the histories. Read some of the histories from Josephus and other early writers, historians from that time. You'll see all that. So don't be confused about that, because that brought the end of that world. Okay, it doesn't matter what's happened in our world or what tribulation has happened in our world today, because that was the worst tribulation that had ever happened in the whole world. It's a new heaven, a new earth. All things are new. Christ said that generation would not pass until everything was fulfilled and there was a new heaven and a new earth.